Go, go. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way.
I want to go ahead and introduce Mr. David Butler and Mr. Cameron Lee. So good to see you guys. How are you all doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
How you doing?
Well, I know that you guys are currently working in the field. You studied the field of communication with us at TSU, and I'm so happy to have you all back as alumni. So I'm not going to take your shine. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera, and I'm going to let you guys turn your mics up and share what you have to share with all of our participants. Thank you so much for joining us, and it's good to see you guys.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
See you as well.
You want to start, Dave?
All right, yeah, I'll start. So, how you guys doing? I'm David Butler. I graduated from Texas Southern University School of Communication, journalism degree in December of 2020. While I was on campus alongside what I like to call my partner in crime, Cameron Lee here, we had a show called The Locker Room on TSU TV that we had, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2 seasons, Cam?
Yeah, about 2 seasons.
About 2 seasons. We did 2 seasons with The Locker Room on TSU TV. Amazing time. Learned a lot on campus. Just being, with him every night and every day, just working hard and trying to, have a dream that we had, and we trying to just make it in the world, to be honest with you, with the things that we had at TSU. And so it was a great time with Cam. And so yeah, after that, while I was at TSU, I became an intern for ABC 13 in Houston. I stayed at ABC for about 2 years there, and I was an intern in 3 different departments while I was at ABC. I was in community outreach department, sales department, marketing, and digital. I did a lot of different things because one thing that, I learned at TSU is the fact that, when you get into this field of work, you have to know how to do multiple different things. At this point, you need to know how to edit, you need to know how to be on camera, off camera, behind the scenes, everywhere, because, when you are going against different people that are not just in Houston, you're going against others that are across the nation. You have to be able to do a lot of different things so you can have a better chance of being hired. And so that was one thing that I'm glad that I learned at TSU. And so I made sure when I got to ABC that, I just put my hands everywhere where I can put them in, every opportunity that came my way. Make sure you seize the moment every time, because, you never know, when your yes might come, because you might get a lot of no's on your journey to success, but all you need is that one yes, and it'll change your life, for the better. And so that was the biggest thing for me, just coming out of TSU from my internship. And so following my internship, I began my journey now at ESPN. I am in Bristol, Connecticut, and I've been here for 6 months now. It's been amazing, to be honest with you. It was a learning curve just a little bit, but other than that, I feel like I do what I love to do. At the end of the day, who doesn't love sports in my eyes? And, a lot of people, we watch sports all the time and we always have a lot to say. And so for me, just to do what I love to do every day, just watch sports and talk about it and make sure I express the best way possible to, the fans that are across the nation. It just warms my heart because, it's not a lot of African Americans in our field. And just to be that person for you guys to look up to and say, hey, since he did it, I came too. Since he was in the same seat that I was sitting in and he made it this far, I can as well. And to be honest with you, I want you guys to make it further than me. And so that's the biggest thing with me, with what I do at ESPN. I'm a digital video content associate here at ESPN. So when I work on day side and night side, most of the time during the daytime, I work on different shows such as Get Up, First Take with Stephen A. And I just take clips from his show and I put them on the website and on the app. And on night side, most of the time I have games. And so right now, we have March Madness going on. We have NBA, we have hockey. And so I might have an NCAA game, an NFL game, or a hockey game. And I'll just put all the highlights from those games on the website and on the app. So, for those who are not tuned in to the game live stream, if you're not watching it on television, I'm there to make sure I supply you guys with all the information, all the highlights that you need to keep up with the game and what's going on. And so, yeah, and one thing that I want to say about, what I learned, what I didn't learn at TSU, I would say And what I learned in corporate America is just, just how to move, in a professional setting outside of what you learn at the university as well, because it's two different ball games. And you will learn that once you get to that point. But, once you learn that, and you understand how to move, and you understand that at the end of the day, one thing that I learned is a lot of people say it's who you know, but at the same time, always remember is who knows you. Because, one thing is can say, hey, yeah, I talked to David Butler, or I talked to Cam and so, and yeah, that's good. But if, he or I says to our supervisor or anyone of higher leadership, yay, hey, we talked to so-and-so, it's a different ball game. It's how you present yourself to someone. And it's, your first, what's the word I'm looking for, Cam? Your first impression, is the biggest thing, because, once you make that lasting impression and make sure they remember who you are, that's the biggest thing that you need, because then that will raise your name in different, rooms that you never thought your name would be in. One thing that I made sure I did when I was at ABC was I made sure that, every day I went into the office, I made sure that, I made an impact. It was an impact that had to be made. It didn't matter what month. Like during Black History Month, I made sure that I had at least 2 or 3 Black History projects that I did on my own, just so my supervisors and the leaders can know, hey, he did this, he's making a mark on his own. So as long as you make a mark on your own, and you make a lasting impression, that will go a long way, way longer than what you would think. So yeah, that's my spiel. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Cam, I'm passing to you, man.
Yeah, man. I pretty much take after Dave. In fact, I've met Dave in, what was it, like 2016, 2017? What was it, 2017?
2016. Yeah.
2016. Well, around that time. So for the record, I graduated this past December. So I majored in radio, television, film, and my concentration is simply like film and television. I want to become a director, a producer one day for major networks and for different production companies. So teaching Dave, pretty much teaching Dave in the long run was part of what I enjoyed doing as a filmmaker and as a producer or director at that. And all he had to simply do was understand the assignment, and pretty much that's exactly what he did. So I pulled him aside one day. I was like, hey man, I see what you're doing with your show, and I think we could pretty much do something better with that. So we got together, we spoke about, come up with some ideas and try to make it a whole lot better. Yeah, it took us a minute to actually like figure out the direction of where we wanted it to go, but we pretty much managed to make it work. And so it's not just with Dave, it's pretty much with my mentees, all of my mentees that I teach up here at TSU and everywhere else. Find your voice, basically find your voice, do what you love, and perfect your craft. You also have to be able to also have a good first impression as well, like how Dave said before. I currently work at KHOU 11 in Houston, and one thing about me taking this job as a multi-platform video editor there is first impressions always go a long way, and I'd say I did pretty good with first impressions up there with my manager Keith Tomsky and several other reporters and other editors and other producers up there. But I'd say I did pretty well with it. And the thing is, when how can I say this? When you're in a big space, like if you're in a big space with a bunch of other people that pretty much have the same skill, you don't want to just you want to stand out, but you don't want to stand out too much. I'm pretty sure I'm making sense though, right?
Yeah, you make sense.
Yeah. So I try not to stand out extremely the most, but try to do it as much to where I can make a good impression with everybody. And so working up here at TSU and then working at KHOU and pretty much every other production company or with other directors, locally, nationally, wherever, I'd say I learned pretty much a lot.
Yeah, same. And I wanted to add that, Cam, I want to let the students know that, this field is not an easy field to get into, not by a long shot. And, we don't want to lead them astray and say that it is an easy field to get into, because like I said, you're competing against people across the nation. And, majority of the time, if you are interning in Houston, you're competing with people at TSU, Rice, probably Houston Baptist as well. So, your resume also has to be, very, very potent. And like one thing that I was glad, that me and Cam had the opportunity to have my show on TSU TV is because that was something that I had a base, had a foundation on my resume. It was something to show to ABC and to different affiliates that I want to apply to, that, I had something to show for my work, and alongside with my my co-producer Cam, that we can produce something that was, I would say, people don't think we could produce. One thing that I was glad that I graduated from TSU, and we had our show at TSU, because I feel like when we go to bigger universities, sometimes the communication department may be oversaturated, and so I feel like since me and you, we had a special bond. It was always a family oriented thing between me and you, and between all the professors and those who helped us at TSU. I feel like they really made us stronger, and they gave us a better opportunity, because it gave us a chance to showcase, our abilities to our highest ability, to be honest with you, because, we're comfortable with one another, and the professors and everyone that was at TSU TV was comfortable with us. So they gave us free range to be as creative as possible and to create the best content that, me and you can be proud of. And so I was really glad about that. And I just want to tell, all the students that are watching to please take advantage of the equipment, that you guys have, because for one, me and Cam know this equipment was not here. It was not there when we was doing our show. So please take advantage of the equipment that you guys have. Like I said, the teachers, the professors, they are amazing. It's a real family, oriented community. I feel like the School of Communication. So please take advantage of, those who want to help you, because they do want to help you. And so, yeah, go ahead, Cam.
And that's another thing, when being in the School of Communication, really, if there's one thing that you take from being in this building every day, 24/7, 7 days a week, is that you're close with people, is that you're close knit with people. This is a close knit environment that where we can share our ideas, and we can just simply, let our imagination just run free without judgment. Yeah, we may disagree about a few things, about what shouldn't go in the show, what should go in the show, but at the end of the day, we all reaching for the same thing. And so, me working with Dave and working with several other people here, it's like, I can pitch my idea to everybody. Everybody can understand the assignment, or they can ask questions, and I would be able to explain it as broad as possible. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you get my point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wanted to answer Doris' question about deadlines. I know one thing that you will learn if you are in any type of news field is the fact that news never stops. News never stops. It keeps on, like, every second, every minute. There's something new every time. So say I was working on a project when I was at ABC, or I was working on a project here at ESPN. I always have a deadline, because at the end of the day, like I said, news never stops. So I just dropped my Coach K project about his 2 different decades of his best players. Now, Coach K is in March Madness at the moment. And so, you always have to remember, what's going on currently and what's going on, what's coming up as well. So you can drop it at the right time, because, one thing that I've always learned is viewers, like, their attention span is very low. And so if you drop it at the right time, you drop it at the right amount of time, then, you would get the right viewership, and you would get the amount of viewers that you want, and probably what your company needs as well. So meeting the deadlines are very important, because, it's all about timing like I said, it never stops. So you always have to, make sure you make the right time and you make the, the right amount of time as far as the video to make sure people are engaged in what you're talking about and what you produce. Because at the end of the day, we all are, proud of what we produce. I made up this saying when I was doing my show at TSU TV is be proud of the product that you produce. Those are my 3 Ps. And so, I'm always proud, but, you always have to understand that you are pushing your content out to a lot of different people. And so if you drop it at the right time and you make sure it's, at a substantial amount of time that people will be engaged, it is very important that you do that. Learning at ABC and ESPN, that is a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And also special shout out to Professor Childress and Professor Murray and Dr. Dixon, all the school communication staff that, helped us get to where we are today. Professor Murray said, what advice would you give? The one advice I would give is take every opportunity that you have. Make sure that you get every opportunity that comes to you. So if it's an opportunity to interview someone famous and you want to use that for your reel, do it. I remember we interviewed Michael Vick when he came up here. That one was a challenge, but we managed to make it. Work. You remember
that? Yeah, that was a good one. I didn't think we was gonna get that one.
Man, that one was a tricky one, but we managed to fight hard. We managed to fight hard for it because we knew that if we could get that interview, chances are if we were gonna be in front of the camera or behind the camera, whether if you were anchor, producer, or interviewer, director, whatever, if you get that opportunity, chances are you're gonna get that opportunity more down the road. So, Dave interviewing Michael Vick that year, I told him, like, if you could interview Michael Vick, you can interview anybody that you want in the world. It could even be the president of the United States, no matter what side he's on.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I do want to add on to that. I want to say, at the end of the day, I feel like closed mouths don't get fed, Cam. I feel like they don't get fed. And I don't know, have you seen the Kanye documentary? And it really made me realize that, when you put your best foot forward and you make sure the others know that, you get the opportunities that are supposed to be presented to you. So in the documentary, he was doing a song with Jay-Z, and Jay-Z wasn't even gonna put him on the song unless Kanye was like, hey, like I rap, like I would like to be on the song. And so Jay-Z let him get on the song. And then after Kanye spit his verse, Jay-Z was like, bro, like if you wouldn't have said nothing, you wouldn't even be on the song. And so that just opened my eyes and just realized, like if you're passionate about something and you are confident in what you do and proud of what you produce, make sure you push that out. Make sure you let people know that, hey, this is what I do. And, I always, like when I was on my way to ESPN, I would DM different anchors and different reporters. Yeah, they're verified and I might not be verified, but that's okay. I'm still going to hit them up. Hey, I'm David Butler. I do this, and that. I've done this. I would like to, ask you for guidance. What can I do better with, the stuff that I do have? I did that because I always bet on myself. If you believe in yourself and you bet on yourself, something will return to you. I live by this one thing. It's called hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. That is my saying. That is what I live by, because at the end of the day, it's a lot of different people that are doing the same thing, but, like I said, this is not an easy field to get into. So hard work will take you a long way, but also it's, the dynamic that you have when you walk into the work environment as well. That's one of my biggest advice. And, it's one big thing that I always say when I do interviews is the fact that, you guys might be interviewing me and probably 30 other people, I don't know, but what I bring into the work environment to make everybody click, that's a different type of atmosphere, because once you're comfortable with yourself and your coworkers, you guys create on a whole different level. And that's good for yourself. It's good for, your company and stuff like that. So you make sure, what you bring to the work environment is always a positive attitude, always, peace and positivity to you and your coworkers, so you guys can produce at the highest level. So that's my advice.
Yeah, exactly. And like for example, early today, I was like I said up at KHOU, and early today I was talking to the EP. I was saying, hey, I had an idea of how we could make the show better, and I explained to him what we could do for the morning show from now on for the future. And the one thing I thank KHOU for is simply like allowing me to work there, but also I can give my input about something that we could do better, something we shouldn't be doing. Pretty much just letting the creativity flow, because basically if you're in that because if you're in the setting where you can create something and you feel uncomfortable doing it, then what's the point of you being? So for me, working up there at KHOU, uh, pretty much learning what to do there first, and also being editor first, and also showing my creativity and collaborating with everybody is another. My thing is passion drives where you want to go. So if you're passionate about this field, whether you any form of media, if you're passionate about it, go for it. Use that as your little driving force.
Absolutely. And I wanted to answer a question about my typical day at ESPN. So at ESPN, we have a 3-period mark. And so you start off your first period on day side. So that's, easy, a 9 to 5. So you wake up in the morning. And like I said, I produce and I send like different highlights from different shows in the morning. So we start up with Get Up. And so say we're talking about the Cowboys that morning. Okay, cool. I clip a segment about whatever they're talking about. Say Dak just got a big contract or Zeke got a big contract. We're talking about them. I clip a segment where they're talking about Dak and Zeke. Then I'll put it on the website and on the app, and I'll do that for each show after that. So after Get Up, we have First Take with Stephen A. And for those who watch sports, Stephen A rants on and on about the Cowboys. He hates the Cowboys. So that's always a fun show to work on. And me and my coworkers were always talking. My supervisor, they would ask me, hey, Dave, can you grab this? Can you grab this different take on either, Kyrie and, COVID-19 and everything about him not playing. So I would grab that about Kyrie and put that on the website and on the apps. And majority of the time after the shows, I might have a soccer game because it's midday. So I'll do a soccer game, and if it's 1-0 or 2-0, I'll post all the highlights, and I'll post the highlights also on the YouTube channel. I'm also connected with the UK channel, and so that's been fun working overseas as well. And so now I'm on the night side. I'm on a different 3-night period, and so what I do is I clock in, speak to everybody. Everybody's in a good mood, and now since I'm in Connecticut as well, I go into the office at least once a week now. So that's been really fun just to see everybody, and get a chance to communicate, because when you're in the office, it's a difference from being on Zoom, obviously, because you can see people, you can ask them, hey, for help. I need you to help me with this, because sometimes it gets really busy when you have like 4 games at one time, and I have to produce and push out at least 4 or 5 highlights for each game, and they're going on at like one time. And so it's a lot going on, and it's really easy for you to say, hey, can you help me with this? Can you pull this clip? Because last night I had the Golden State game and Draymond Green got ejected, and it was a buzzer beater in that same game. And I also had a March Madness game at the same time. It was a lot going on. So it was good to be in the office at that time just to say, hey, can you grab, this game while I get Draymond's ejection? And so on night side, we have this thing called P1, which is, if anything is like really important, like I have to hurry up and clip that. And that goes into the deadline question as well, because when I'm on digital and something happens like really fast, it's really important that the world needs to see, I have to hurry up and do that. That's like an instant thing. It's ASAP. You have to get that out. And so working on night side is it's way faster than day side for sure, because you're just watching shows during the day. But at nighttime, you have 3 different games, 4 different games, and it's a lot going on. But it's very fun, because at the end of the day, you're watching sports, and you're talking about it. And who doesn't do that on their off time? And I love to do it. And so that's a fun thing for me that I do at work. And so that's the typical night for me now. I work a 5 to 2 shift, 5 p.m. to 2 in the morning. Just want to let you guys know that. So think about, getting into the professional field and, getting out of college and going into professional is the hours. Yeah, sometimes you might not get your regular 9 to 5 hours. Sometimes you might not get that Monday through Friday schedule. That might not happen for you. I just want to let you know that right now, that when you get to that professional setting, you have to work with, what's given to you. Sometimes you can ask, but majority of the time, your schedule might not look like what you think you might. And so that was the biggest adjustment for me. But I enjoy working my 5 to 2 hours because my supervisors on the night side are really they're really comfortable to work with. They make the work environment fun. And like I said, at the end of the day, we're watching sports and we're talking about it. So it's fun.
You know what's funny? Someone told me like, you have the easiest job. All you have to do is just sit and watch TV all day. I'm like, no, that's
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not the case.
Absolutely not.
This is really not, because like you may be you surrounded by a bunch of TV screens at the same time. You still got to put in the work. Like
definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy at all. But that's what you worked for. That's what you worked for, kids. And the one thing that I always tell myself when things get like really, what's the word I'm looking for, Cam? Like when I feel like under pressure, when it's a lot going on at one time, one thing that I always tell myself is the fact that, I asked to be in this position. I worked hard to be in this position. So when greatness comes to my doorstep, there's no reason to shy down and, be like, oh my God, it's a lot going on. Like in my head, I always need to step up to the plate because this is what you asked for. And so that's one thing that I always have to tell myself, because it's a lot of pressure on me at night when it's 4 or 5 games going on. And so, just have to have a different mindset. I always say that life, what you go through in life is at least 90% mental, about 10% physical. Either you're going to do it or you're not. Either you're going to push through and get through whatever you're going through, or you're not. And most of the time in this environment, when you're at a big scale, you have to push through. You have to, or you can always make sure you guys know, my bad, Cam. Make sure you guys know that you can always ask for help. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Okay, you can't do everything by yourself. Even Kobe, LeBron can't. Obviously, LeBron can't do it by himself. His team is horrible right now, but he's putting up 50 every night. But he can't do it by himself. So I always ask for help. Go ahead, Cam.
The one thing that's also interesting about this field, whether you're in TV, film, any type of media, you should never be afraid to get your hands dirty at all. Because there are going to be times where you're going to have to dig in deep, and you're going to have to ask questions, and you're going to step on a couple of toes here and there, but definitely don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. And also mentally preparing yourself for it as well, mentally preparing yourself for that particular position. So like with me, and I'm pretty sure with Dave, what we have to basically like mentally prepare ourselves for like the time management, also the workload. It's not to scare anybody, but that's basically what you have to do in this type of field. You have to work under pressure, or be able to work under pressure. Always be able to ask questions in order to get what you want done right, and so on and so forth. You see what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely. I always have to ask questions. Let me see. Mariah asks, what advice would you give to seniors on transitioning from college into your field? So, got it, Cam?
I'll let you take that one first.
Okay. All right. Let me see. She asked what helped me adjust. I would say, with working I'm going to combine this with a question from a student from Professor Murray's class as well about me transitioning from Houston. So, working at ABC really helped me a lot, because I was working in the corporate business for at least 2 years before I got to ESPN, and I was working at ABC while I was at TSU as well. And so just being in that atmosphere and, making sure I made my presence felt, and making sure that, I made my mark at ABC really helped me transition into ESPN, I feel like. And we're all under the same umbrella. ABC and ESPN, we're all owned by Disney. And so already being in the same family as ESPN, it made it real easy for me to transition. But like I said in the beginning, one of the biggest things that I was glad at the fact that, I had a chance to be in that corporate America because, confidence and cocky is a thin line between it. And, I feel like I had a lot of confidence in myself when I was at ABC, and it grew because I had the opportunity to speak to different, different board members and different people of higher stature. And so when it was time for me to interview for ESPN, and interview for different local stations around Houston, I wasn't really ashamed, or I wasn't really nervous that much because I had the opportunity to, speak to different people of higher stature while I was at ABC. So it made the transition for me really easy. And I would say, like I said, it's always about who you know, but like I said, it's always, who knows you. Because if you can make a mark on someone, that can make a difference in your future. Your first impression is very important because most of the time, if you make a good first impression, they will call you back to do this and that. Like, for example, I made a good impression with Disney on the Yard, that is the HBCU side of Disney. And they called me back to do an interview with Dwayne, who was on Beyond, I think it was called Beyond Fear with Will Smith. It was a Disney Plus series when Will was traveling the world. But I just say that to say that I made a great impression with Disney on the Yard when they first met me. So it's about, who you know, but who knows you because of, the work that you put in and, what people see in you with, the hard work that you put into your product.
One thing that has been that I've been hearing ever since I graduated is that it's rare to get a job after you graduate, to get a job in your field after you graduate. And I never realized how rare it was until, I kept hearing it from everybody else. And I'm just like, well, what do you mean? And they say, not everybody gets to where they want to go. Sometimes they start out working at Sam's Club, Walmart, McDonald's, if you will. And then there are others who actually worked extremely hard for it, and they actually got it right out the gate. And I happen to be one of them. Thank you, Professor Murray. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. So, like I said before, if you're passionate about what you do, about what you want to do, take that passion and work and run with it, because that will help you get to where you want to be. And sometimes people there are some people that will actually like have that passion already, but then they all of a sudden just want to just stop for some reason, and it's kind of and it kind of questions me because like why would you stop? Like you're literally right there. Why'd you stop? And sometimes they don't have an answer. Sometimes they'll be like just life, but definitely use your passion and go with what you want.
All right. Go ahead, Jabril.
How you doing? I'm Jabril Lewis. How's everybody doing today? How you doing, Mr. Kemp? My question was for David, though, and I'm from Mrs. Mitchell's class, Miss Kimberly Mitchell from Persuasion. And I want to ask you, when you said you got to talk to some higher ups, I think it was ABC. Mm-hmm. Was it you said they instilled sort of like a baby confidence in you that grew as you moved on. Mm-hmm. Was it anything you could say like that you remember specifically that you learned that was important from one of them? Like anything that they told you like to be aware of when jumping into the mainstream business and like things like that? Anything you remember being told or a valuable lesson they would have taught you?
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate your time and I appreciate your question. So yeah, I would say like, and the reason why I keep saying like it's who you know and the people that knows you is the fact that that was the biggest thing that they always instilled in me. And that was the biggest thing that I learned with being around them, because I felt like, if I didn't produce at my highest level and I didn't make sure that they knew that, I feel like, they probably would have overlooked me, because every day they always told me, they're like, man, we never really seen an intern like you. And it was the fact that because when I went there, I didn't just sit down in my seat and I was like, yeah, that's cool, I'm an intern. I didn't do that. Like every day I went into the office and I made sure that I produced content at the highest level. Every month I came out with something new so they can know that, hey, he can produce at this caliber of digital production, because at that time I think Houston ABC is the third largest local station in America. And so that was big for me to make sure I produced something at the highest level every time I was there. But I know another thing that they did teach me was the fact that, when you go into these different, well, they was telling me that, once you start into the news field, most of the time you will have to start at a lower level. Most of the time you will have to go into like a Beaumont, or you can go into different cities and stuff like that. But you also can jump from ABC or go to ESPN. But it all depends on you, though. It all depends on who you know. All depends on your networking abilities. Networking is the biggest thing, in my opinion. That was the biggest thing they always made sure I understood. But I also learned that from TSU as well. So I had the best of both worlds with them telling me, make sure you network just outside of Houston. And, it's crazy to say that I was kind of happy that COVID happened, because when I was working with Houston, I started January of 2020. So that was pre-COVID. And I only knew everyone that was at the ABC station. But once COVID hit and I started working remote, that's when I started to branch out, and I started making connections with my recruiters in Florida. I had a recruiter in California, I had a recruiter in New York. And so I just took that advice that they told me about just, making sure you make connections with those inside of the company, because the company is so huge. Make sure you make connections with those inside of the company, make your mark, make sure you share what you produce so they can see what you have to offer and stuff like that. And so my advice to you, and the advice that they gave me that I wanted to share, is, make sure you always push out what you produce. Make sure you bet on yourself. Make sure you just make connections with those of higher stature, and make sure you surround yourself with like-minded people, and surround yourself with people that you can learn from. Don't surround yourself that, everyone needs to learn from you, because obviously you're not in the right crowd. And so that was another thing that they always told me, is the fact that you always need to be around those who you can learn from, and those that can help you elevate to where you need to be. And so for me, when I was like, and I know I saw another question about me transitioning. When I transitioned from ABC to ESPN, like I said, I had a lot of recruiters that I connected with during the pandemic. And what I did was I used like my recruiters it was like a chess game for me. I used them as pawns. So I always sent all of my information, and I sent all of my videos and everything that I produced to them, and they shared it to, I don't know who knows where, but at the end of the day, I made it to, where I work to. And so I would say, make your connections, make sure you spread your workout, and make sure they know that, you're producing at your highest ability.
Yeah. I see a question that said, how do they manage their time, especially when you get into MA? I feel like I know who this person is asking this question. So I'm gonna try and answer it the best way possible. Time management is, time management when working in this field is always key. Because if we go back to what we discussed previously, like, you're gonna be working different hours. You're not gonna always have the 9 to 5 shift. With me, for example, I usually work. I started at a 10 to 6 shift, and then now they moved me to a 2 a.m. to 10 o'clock, 2 a.m. to 10 o'clock shift. So it's I'm still managing with that, but it's going to take time to actually like manage your work life, and also setting aside time to work with school life, especially if you're trying to get a master's. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to help you. People are going to help you balance your time if you want to do what you love and what you want to strive for. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I know for me, as far as time management, I write. I'm an old school type of guy, so I write in my journal. I have a planner, I have a journal, I have a calendar, and so I like to make sure I can see everything. Like, I'm looking at my sticky notes in my little office right here that I have. I just write everything down and make sure, I also time management, and making sure like, hey, I do this at this time, I do this at this time, and I already have it written down. So when the day comes, I understand, hey, get up and make sure you do this, and this at this time, so you can have, at least some type of free time to do whatever you need to do outside of your work, or, what you need to do. And so as far as work goes right now, my time management goes with the higher priority of the game that I'm doing. So if, right now, March Madness is easily the top thing that's going on in sports right now for me. So anything March Madness, that is the number one thing above NBA, above hockey, above spring training for baseball as well. So, I make sure that if I have a March Madness game, boom, that's first, and then probably NBA, NHL after that, and probably baseball. So just making sure you have an understanding of what's important to the viewers. Because one thing that I had to learn was the fact that it's not about you. It's not about you, okay? It's about the viewers. And it's about, what the viewers want, what they watch and stuff like that. And so I learned that while I was at TSU, and I learned that while I was at ABC as well. And so when I'm doing like my nightly work, I make sure I understand what's important to the viewers and what they want to see first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. And so that goes into my time management as well, just to make sure I understand what's important and what has to be done.
Another question: How is it to apply what you're learning in the classroom? Example: rule of thirds, editing news, sports stories, and short docs. Mm-hmm. Very, very, very important. Mm-hmm. We have like the most amazing professors here that'll teach you what you need to know if you're trying to get into this field. But it's always important that whatever you learn from them, you apply it and practice it in the field that you practice it in the field now before you get the opportunity to work at ABC, work at NBC, work at any TV network or whatever film studio, whoever. It takes a lot you have to learn it and you have to practice it a lot. And with me, I've been doing this for about 15, 16 years. I've been doing this since I was in like middle school. And like I learned it, and I learned it from great legends, from great people back then, and I'm still learning today. So all the skills that I've been learning from there, I've been applying it to how I'm directing and how I'm teaching everybody. So yeah, it's extremely important.
No, yeah, like super, super important, because like I said in the beginning, one thing that I learned from my professors at TSU was the fact that you need to know how to, be a jack of all trades. You need to know how to, write, you know how to edit, how to be on camera, behind the scenes, all of that. And so when he said, just looking at the question, editing news, like we did that so much at TSU. We did that so much at TSU, and I appreciate Professor Murray in his class because it helped me with producing content. And it helped me with shooting content as well. And so, like I said, you always, like when you produce anything, you have to have the eye for, different angles and stuff like that, and what looks good and what doesn't look good. And you always have to make sure you understand what to say and what not to say. That was another thing that I learned at ABC is, like, as we all know, social media is a very sensitive space. So you always have to be mindful about what you say on social media, especially what whatever you produce, make sure you get your point across. You probably don't want to offend some people, but because I know I did a Black History project when I was at ABC, and I had the pleasure. Mariah was on my video as well, but I made sure that I had different demographics on my video. I made sure when I wrote my story, I didn't step on anyone's toes, or I didn't, make anyone feel like they wasn't appreciated. And so just make sure you be cognizant about what you say on social media and what you say when you produce your pieces as well. That was the biggest thing for me, producing my sports stories. And I didn't want to be in the news field because I didn't want to produce stories about sad stuff, because news can be sad half of the time. It can be very sad, but and it caught me off guard a couple of days back. One of our famous sports reporters, he passed away, and so I had to produce a story about him on our night side. And I was like, dang, that's literally why I didn't want to go to news, like in a local field. But at the end of the day, producing that story, it's always good because it always broadens, what you can produce. And that was one thing that I made sure I did when I was at TSU. I didn't just want to do sports, which is why, I had the opportunity to interview Dr. Lane while he was there. And I had the had the opportunity to interview Sheila Jackson-Lee as well, because I didn't want to subject myself to just sports. So when you guys go into your different internships, please try your best to, put your hands in different pots. Please just don't stay in the same place, because I just want you guys to have, different things that you can put on your resume. Hey, I did this, I did that. I was in this department. So they can't just say, oh, he's only, worked in that one department, but this other candidate has done this, this, and that. That's what you don't want. And so please put your hands wherever you can, wherever you want to learn. And I'm pretty sure, I can only speak for what I went through at ABC, but most of the time when people see that you want the best for yourself, they want to help you. And so you just put your best foot forward with wherever you want to go. And, you learn a lot more. Just learn, keep learning, because there's always something. You learn something new every day. Please don't ever think that you're done learning. You're not done learning. And so, yeah, that's my advice. That was my spiel. Welcome to my TED Talk.
Are you guys working, or are you guys able to put your current work on your own platforms? If so, do you guys have Instagram, YouTube, or website? You want to go first?
Sure. Right now, right now, I'm not working on my current work at the moment. I'm still getting adjusted to my work that I have going on at ESPN right now. I do plan on coming out with a podcast with one of my coworkers. Probably, I think we're gonna try to shoot it out this summer. And so if we can get the pilot episode out this summer, that'd be great. But right now, I don't have anything as far as just personal wise, because I'm still trying to get adjusted to the work that I'm doing at ESPN at the moment.
Yeah, with me, I have a website up. It's called Alpha Omega Media. That's my company. And I already have a website up, but I'm still like searching for I'm searching for a permanent image, like an aesthetic as to how I want it to be shown. And I already have some stuff up, but that's like stuff in the past. But I'll discuss that later. But yeah, I'm currently trying to work on it. Meanwhile, while I'm still working in my field and doing other things and trying to go through school. But yeah, I'm working on that with social media. Nah, not really, but I'm trying.
Yeah. I see Ashley. I don't know if Ashley has a question. I don't know.
I think Ashley, you have a question, Ashley?
No, I don't have a question. I don't know why I keep getting sent the panelist link when I register. I've been looking for the regular link, but I'm not getting it.
But while you're there, Ashley, ask a question. Ashley, I know you have something.
Just putting everybody on the spot today.
Hey, see what you did, Professor Mary? You ran her away, man.
I have one.
You got it.
Okay, I just want to know, well, congratulations to both of you. It's really, really cool to see you guys walk through the halls of TSU and now walk through the big halls of ESPN and all these other great news stations. So congratulations on your journey. I want to know, was it difficult transitioning from that student intern position into walking into, this is what I do, I'm a producer, I'm no longer an intern? Like, you can take the student lens off of me. How was that transition?
The transition was actually pretty easy, because like I said, I already knew most of this stuff from the get-go. But as I stated before, my passion is what got me here. And also learning from people that I know, also people that I don't know, but inspire me to do things like edit news stories or edit films or create films or something like that. So the transition from me being an intern was fairly easy.
I would say the transition was a little easy, but I know Cam touched on this earlier, was the difference in your workload. That was probably the biggest transition for me, was the difference in my workload. And also being from, coming from a news station to ESPN, which was a big jump as far as like the scale of people that we reach. That was a big difference for me as well, because I mean, when you're working, you always have to make sure that you produce your best content, but it's a different type of mindset that you have, and sometimes people might be in your head a little bit about the people that you reach with your content, because there's a lot of people that view my content, but you always have to be honest with yourself and be honest with your supervisors about you trying to transition. And like I said, you always ask for help. That was the biggest thing that I always did when I got to ESPN. Anything that I didn't understand, I'm asking for help, because I don't want you guys to be like, hey, the new guy is doing this, he's not doing that. So you make sure you ask questions. That was the biggest thing for me. And yeah, the workload was a lot more different, because when I was an intern, I would get one or two things a week, and that was pretty smooth. But when I got to ESPN, it's like, something every day, because you're a full-time employee now. And like I said, news never stops. So you're a full-time employee, you get something every day. Everything is new, it's fresh the next day. And so, yeah, the work environment, the workload was really big for me. And so I had to make sure that I organized myself. That was the biggest thing for me, that I made sure I was organized and I was structured with my work. Because I felt like if I wasn't organized and structured with the work that I do now, being that it's at a fast pace, then a lot of stuff they would fall into each other, and I wouldn't be organized, and I wouldn't get out the content that I need to get out at the rate that I need to get it out in. And so being organized and being structured was the biggest thing that I learned coming from my internship and being a student at TSU, was going into this new pace of life. Make sure you're organized, you're structured, you ask questions, because you don't want to be that person where they're like, hey, he's not doing this right, he's not doing that right. So yeah, that was the biggest transition for me, I would say.
Any other questions?
Hey guys, got one quick question for you. This is Professor Murray. You can see me here. Sorry about that. David and Cam, very proud of you guys. You guys have done tremendous in your field. And I know Cam was production, and he ended up in news. And David, I know you were into journalism, but so we're sitting in a class. I can't show you right now, but I have about 20 students in my class right now in the intro to videography class. Okay, I know, David, you were sitting there in 2020. Yeah. And you were sitting there in the times of pandemic. Mm-hmm. Now, I think you were in that class where you guys are on campus and then you ended up online, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think you've already said it was pretty important for you. And the pandemic kind of helped you a little bit. But sitting in the classroom and going through that transition of being a student that was on campus to online, mm-hmm. What kind of discipline did it take for you guys to go a step further? To say, what, I could be disadvantaged, but I'm going to take this opportunity and really go out and make it happen.
Yeah, that's a great question, because, one thing that I understood is the fact that, either, like I said, what you go through in life is majority of the time is mental more than physical. And so I feel like that's a mental aspect, versus you being at home and, versus you being in class. After you in the class, you're paying attention to, your professor, but you're at home, you got your bed right beside you, you probably got some snacks. And so it's a different type of atmosphere. It's a different atmosphere when you're at home, but, you always have to be, mentally aware of, what you're doing and have an understanding of where you want to go in life. I always said, a lot of people ask me like, how did you get here? But it's like, no one was there with me and Cam. Like when we in the studio at 12 o'clock at TSU TV, we there at 1 o'clock in the morning doing our show. And before I even got to Cam And TSU TV, I was doing my show in the dorm room. I'm editing at 3 o'clock in the morning by myself. Like no one was there. So it takes a different type of mindset that you have to have, where you're at now and where you want to be. If you are, if you have an understanding of where you want to be, and I'm big on faith, and make sure you pray and all of that. And you put, I always say hard work plus prayer equals win. Because you put out that good energy, you put out, your prayer, you put out the positive content that you produce, something will come back to you. Like I said, hard work will pay off, some point in your career. And so if you always keep that mental in your mind, that what I do right now can really affect where I go in the future, that will make the biggest difference. Because you can lay on your bed and not do nothing if you wanted to, but that probably won't get you nowhere. You can sit, like I said, when I was an intern at ABC, I could have sat in my desk and just was like, yeah, and just been like, yeah, I'm an intern at ABC, and I did nothing, but I didn't do that though. I made sure that every day I went into the office, I made sure I made a point that everyone understood that I produced the best content. I always bring like a fresh mind and an urban type of sense to the news station, because I knew that we wasn't reaching a lot of our younger generation. And so one biggest thing that I did when I went to the board meetings is I always produce pitches that catered towards younger generation, catered towards those that was in college just like me, because we didn't have that. And so when you come with something that's innovative, especially in the news department, because like I said, everything is always moving, something new happens every day. You always have to be innovative with your thoughts and what you come with. So yeah, that's my spiel. It's all about your mental and where you are mentally and where you want to be. And if you believe that and you work towards that, you will get there. And make sure you speak it into existence as well. The tongue is very powerful. Please speak it into existence and you work for it, you'll get there.
What he said, but I second all of that.
Thank you, guys.
Sir. Let's see, Cam. I think we got some questions in here if you want to touch on some of those. You can get, I think, Dion's question.
Dion, what did you ask? I don't see it up here.
When trying to start a career in comm after college, are there any red flags to be aware of?
Wait, repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
When trying to start a career in comm after college, are there any red flags to be aware of?
One red flag is be careful who you working. Be careful who you working with and who you working for, because 9 times out of 10, there are a lot of people that you work with and who you work for, and they may seem like they have good intentions at first, and then they just end up going rogue on you in the long run. So that's definitely one red flag you should definitely look out for.
Yeah,
that's one thing.
Yeah, I would just have to piggyback off of Cam, and I would just bless that the people at ABC made me feel very welcome. They never made me feel like I was the only. They didn't make me feel like I was the intern there. They always made me feel like I had been there at least for 5 years, because they respected my opinion, and that was the biggest thing for me when I went into like when I went into like board meetings, is when I pitched my ideas, they didn't shoot them down. Like they really respected what I said. And that was very important to me. And that boosted my confidence, that the fact that, these different peoples of higher stature, they're like really understanding what I'm saying. And, they're pushing my idea out into Houston. And so that was the biggest thing for me. So yeah, make sure you, like Cam said, make sure, you always be cognitive about, who you work with and who you work for as well. Make sure you have an understanding of your coworkers, because a work environment is very important. That's like one of the most important things to me personally. So make sure you have a great work environment with your coworkers, because like I said, most of the time, like everyone here, I'm pretty sure we all produce content. You want to produce content at your highest level. And you can't do that if you're disturbed. You can't do that if you're disturbed with the people that you work with. You're disturbed mentally and you don't feel comfortable with those that you work with. You can't produce your best content. So make sure that your work environment is comfortable for you and you feel comfortable with those you work with. So That's a big thing.
I want to add on that. I want to add on to that with an experience I had working on this one project for Professor Childers. So we were working on our documentary, and we had a team of 4 people. It was a team of 4 people, and the first thing I told my entire team, I said, look, okay, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it the right way, and we're gonna treat everybody with respect. Not only that, we want to be sure to have a healthy work environment. So that means everybody in this group needs to be able to get along well with everybody. And sure enough, everybody understood the assignment. But 9 times out of 10, a lot of times that's not gonna happen with different groups, whoever you work with. So if you're the leader, you got to be the one to set the tone. Always. You can't just say, all right, here's what we're gonna do, and everybody just go run free and do absolutely everything, do absolutely nothing, or do everything completely off the wall, and it then becomes, what's the word I'm looking for? Discombobulated, basically.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely look out for that.
Yeah. Let's see. We had another question. It says, do you see yourself growing with these companies, or you see it as a stepping stone? For me, I would say I see myself growing with my company. But I do know, I feel like, where I am right now, I would probably transition. I would move up inside of the company that I work for. And so, yeah, I definitely see myself growing within the company for sure.
I would say both. I see myself growing with the company at the same time. It's a stepping stone, because like I said before, my concentration is in film and television. So I'm not gonna always stick around with news all the time. It'll probably be like a couple of years later, I could be doing something else in producing reality TV. Well, not reality TV, but you get my point.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd say both.
Gotcha. And then we have another question. Can you tell us of some difficulties that you faced? Oh, one, we told him about the Michael Vick thing. For one, I'm telling you, we was not supposed to get that Michael Vick interview. That was not supposed to happen. But like I said, closed mouths don't get fed. Like literally, I went up to take a picture with Michael Vick, and he thought I had the microphone in my hand. He thought I was gonna ask him a question, and I was just trying to take a picture. He was like, I thought you were gonna ask me a question. I was like, well, I didn't think we could be able to do the interview. I was like, can I do the interview? He said, yeah, you can do the interview. I'm like, all right, then. Well, yeah, we can do it then. And so, like, literally, closed mouths don't get fed, because I feel like if I wouldn't have asked him, we wouldn't have got the interview. So that was that. That was one difficulty that we got around. Let's see, what's another one, Cam?
Improvising, working with Man, I remember it was like one night we were trying to work with a dead microphone, and then another moment we had a busted light. It was too much.
Video still got out though.
Oh yeah, for sure. We
at the end of the day, the work is gonna get produced. That's at the end of the day. That's funny.
All right, guys. Real quick, let me just jump in. It's actually 2:00 now, and we have a special guest too, David Pert, on the line. Guys, we really want to thank you guys for coming in, dropping by. Can the students reach out to you on your social media pages and contact you guys to talk, get some advice, anything like that? If you can drop the information to Ms. Randall, she can send it to all the students. That'd be great.
Yes, sir.
But we really appreciate it, man. I mean, I'm super proud, because you guys are 2 of my former students, and I feel like a proud papa, man. That's really good. You guys are doing excellent work. Excellent work. I really appreciate you guys coming in and doing that.
This is exclusive. Go! Go! Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up.